Good evening. Welcome to the Arts Commission meeting of Thursday, August 7th, 2025. I now call this meeting to order at 6 p.m. We will begin with a Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Mann, would you please lead us? Thank you. The next order of business is roll call. Ms. Fatua, would you please call roll?
Let the record reflect all arts commissioners are present except for Vice Chair Derderian.
Vice Chair Derderian is on his way. Next order is now we will open for public comments. Anyone in the chambers, each member of the public will have up to 3 minutes to speak. We will begin with comments from those in the council chambers, followed those joining us via Zoom. Please note, this public comment period is reserved for comments unrelated to agenda items. If your comment is related to a specific agenda item, please wait until that item is presented. If you are in the chambers and wish to speak, please line up on either side of the aisle. Okay. There's no one in the chambers. We will now hear from speakers joining us via Zoom. Ms. Fatua, do we have any speakers on Zoom?
At this time, we have no attendees on Zoom.
Thank you. We will now hear, okay, public comment is now closed. We will now move to commissioner comments. Commissioners, do you have any questions for staff or comments unrelated to agenda items? Feel free to share them here. At this time, I will call each of you by name. Commissioner Ashendorf.
Thank you, Chair. A couple of comments. First of all, I'd like to thank the Costa Mesa Foundation and staff for the concerts in the park. They were extraordinary. It's always a wonderful event and nights of event, so I want to thank you for all of your volunteer work out in the community. Secondly, I'd like to acknowledge having attended 2 of the events at Segerstrom Plaza on Monday nights. It's a really fun, it's been a fun summer being outdoors on the plaza. Our summer wouldn't be complete without the July 3rd event. Once again, that was a lot of work by staff and volunteers. Thank you for another firecracking, wonderful July 3rd. I'd like to call your attention to the spotlight. Pages 24, 25, and 26 are designated to the arts, and my wish is that someday most of the spotlight will be on the arts. But until then, a couple of things to call your attention to. One of our grantees, Backhouse, will be doing programming at the Costa Mesa Senior Center in the fall. Really looking forward to that. And also, I'm sure that Ms. Garner will be talking about poetry in the parks in her report. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge the City Council study session last month, which was very helpful for commissioners and committee members to really clarify and understand their role as far as it relates to relationships with the city and staff. And I believe that we can move forward with much more knowledge based on their support at that meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ashendorf. Commissioner Lucia.
I have no comments at this time. Thank you.
Commissioner Ford.
First, I'd like to echo.
Commissioner Ford, if you give me one moment, you.
There we go. Yes. So first, I'd like to echo Commissioner Ashendorf's comments. The concerts in the park were remarkable. The July 3rd celebration was incredibly fun. We had the Tijuana Dogs, we had the 80s All-Stars, we had rib eating contests. There were people from, 3 to 93 and everything in between that were having a really lovely time. And that's really what it's all about. It was a community coming together to celebrate, and it was wonderful. I want to commend Commissioner Wondercheck for working on the Make Music Day on June 21st. And it was a really lovely event. We had a lot of performers there, again, of all different backgrounds and ages. And everyone was pulled together by one thing, which was just a love of music. And so it was really nice seeing everybody come together. This is exactly what I want the arts to be, is something that everyone can kind of coalesce around, no matter where you're from, no matter what your background is, and just love music and love art. So finally, I again want to congratulate the staff for the incredible amount of work that they've done over the last couple of months to put together these programs. They are very, very time consuming and require a ton of effort. And a lot of times their work just kind of slips through the cracks and isn't acknowledged. So I want to specifically acknowledge the tremendous work that staff has done on these projects. And finally, I look forward to continuing the guidance that we received from the City Council and working collaboratively with the City Council and with staff to start this incredible process that we're about to start with the Arts and Culture Master Plan. And with that, I'll conclude my comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Ford. Commissioner Mann.
Hi, thank you. First off, I'd like to thank you guys for inviting us to the UCLA training camp. I really wanted to go. I had plans, unfortunately, with short notice, but I just think I think that's really cool, and I've always wanted to go to that, and I will hopefully get to next time. The concerts in the park, I live near there, and everybody goes. Everybody gets on their bikes. Everybody goes to it at least once, and I have a Facebook video and Instagram video of all of my friends being really weird and crazy, and they're all old, and they're like, woohoo, and it's so much fun. And it's just something that, yeah, we continue to have here, and I hope that we continue to do that, but also, yeah, I guess that's what it is. It's concerts in the park, so I don't know if I want to even talk about messing with it. And then I'm really looking forward to Art Venture. I was reading up on that, and I think Lorette and or some of the staff had sent something out, so I sent out my all calls to the artists to see who's available and wanted to participate, and I'm really excited to see who shows up and who participates this year, and what road we're going to be on at this point. Also, the OC Fair, it's such a boon for our city. It's like such a big thing, and I was wondering if at any point we were going to have or could have an arts commission booth or some kind of thing where we got to be. I know that they do some of our boxes, utility boxes, but I just feel like we don't go over there or are represented over there, and I don't know if we're supposed to be or not, but I would love to have something to do to where we could look for other people, maybe garner more support, bring more awareness to the commission, and artist participation. So that's it for me, and thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Ann. Commissioner Wondercheck.
I just wanted to say thank you to those who did come out for the Make Music Day on June 21st. It will be every year on June 21st. And what was really cool is we had Commissioner Ford singing at the event. He has a beautiful voice, so if you ever need someone for a concert, please call him. So anyway, we had a great time, and I wanted to thank the city, especially Miss Lorette, for all the work that she put into that and making it happen. We had a decent turnout, but what was really exciting is we had several people ask if they can be on the committee of Make Music Day. So anyone interested in being involved on the committee, we are going to be accepting applications, and we'll make it official most likely in the next few months or so. But it was beautiful, and I thank you, Costa Mesa, because we are really working hard to make these events available for all ages, and it really was truly fun. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wonderchuk. Vice Chair Dudarian.
Thank you. And my apologies to everyone in the chamber. I was running a few minutes late, so I missed some of the other commissioner comments. I'm sure many good things were said about the concerts in the park. And just to perhaps reiterate, I really enjoyed it. I was only able to make it out to one, but I thought it was a fantastic event and just incredible to see the community involvement. A couple other comments, and I had requested in advance for this meeting 2 handouts, which are in front of all the commissioners and perhaps on the back table for anyone in the chambers. But on the July 8th council study session meeting, Councilmember Jeff Pettis, who appointed me to this body, was so kind to invite me kind of last minute, so I apologize. I wasn't able to talk with everyone given our meeting schedule. But I was at least able to connect with a few within the Brown Act rules and regulations, of course, and ensure that that wasn't broken, but at least connect with a few and get some thoughts. And Councilman Pettis had asked that I present what could be done by the City Council to really strengthen and help support the Arts Commission and kind of develop our vision, I think, as a body and what they could do for us. And so I just put this together. I submitted this printout. You can look through it at your own time, either now or later. But just to comment a little bit on that, and of course, to give my thanks to Councilman Pettis, who's in the chambers with us. He's been an ardent and vocal and strong supporter of the arts and of this commission itself. And it's been wonderful to see his leadership on the City Council, and I just want to personally thank you and for the many kind shout-outs that you've given me during the City Council meetings from this very dais, of course. But to go through this just briefly, so as not to bog us down, because I think it's just useful for us going forward, both tonight and as we have these various discussions as we're having on the agenda and in forthcoming meetings. There, you can see this yourself. I made 4 major points for the commission's sake, just to highlight this. The issue about formal reporting to the council, the issue that we've kind of experienced in discussions around subcommittees and what powers do we have as a commission as compared to a committee. The question of public funding for art and how we might go about doing that, and then the question of civic identity and what our role as an arts commission is within that. And I think we got a lot of fantastic clarity from the council and from the mayor himself. Just to kind of briefly iterate these points so we're all on the same page and it's said as a part of the record here. On the first point, they invited us to make recommendations through a majority vote. Through a chair's memo. So if there's anything that we'd like to recommend to council, that can be done, and that could go through a formal process, which I'm sure we can get more clarity on from staff and the city attorney who's joined us tonight. On the question of subcommittees, and this might perhaps come up later, but it was reaffirmed that we do in fact have the power, and that's what you can see in the municipal code that's also printed out in front of you. We have the power to do this, but it really does require approval from the city attorney. And a focus, and I'm sure, again, we can get a little bit more specific if there's other discussions to be had about this, but a focused, time-bound research topic. And so I thought that was wonderful. On the question of dedicated public art, I just put together, as you can see, a couple points that we've discussed here as a body and that I've discussed with various commissioners, having to do with the cannabis tax revenue and trying to dedicate that to public funding, as well as this question of CIP budgets and a percentage there. And that was well received, and even Mayor Stevens did make a comment that was his hope with the cannabis tax revenue, that it would actually go to these public investments in the arts, and so I was really encouraged to hear that. And then on the question of civic identity, I thought one interesting way, this was just my own kind of consideration, and a few discussions came up, but it would be great to have this commission involved in the brand. This is, in fact, the city of the arts. And so we should be considering what it means to be the city of the arts, and as the official arts body, ought we not to be involved in those discussions? And surprisingly, or maybe unsurprisingly, but Mayor Pro Tem Chavez also took to that and commented strongly on the need for good signage, which I wholeheartedly concur with. And so I just wanted to thank council for considering that, and once again, Councilman Pettis for giving me that opportunity. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair. I'd like to thank the commissioners and Vice Chair for helping spark important conversations at City Council in the past months. It seems clear we have support from the council and clarity in terms of how to report, and staff can help guide us in terms of how best to implement this. Thank you, Commissioner Ford, for supporting Wonder Check's Make Music Day initiative. I thought it was great, and I'm excited to see this grow, and perhaps the city attorney's band would like to play next year. And thank you. That is an invitation. We'll have to see what day that falls on. And thank you to Commissioners Ford and Ashendorf for helping out at the performances at the park, and staff for putting on another wonderful season. I attended the Pacific Symphony performance in the park and had a chance to speak with children, their grown-ups, and other attendees, which included Irene, a former Arts and Culture Committee member, who is responsible, or one of the people responsible for starting the Utility Box program. It's a well-loved program, so it was really nice to meet her. And there are two things I learned from attending and participating in performance in the park. Number one, lollipops are fantastic giveaways. And two, people want to see more art throughout the city. So I think we have a lot to work to do, and I'm really excited about the conversations we're going to have in the coming months about the update to the master plan. I'd like to revisit an idea that came up before, and this is a question to staff. Would it be feasible to create a dedicated Instagram account or newsletter for the arts? The timing might be right, and it could be a valuable tool for engagement, especially as we make updates to the plan and want to improve our outreach efforts. And Hispanic Heritage Month is fast approaching, and with its timing so close to Art Venture, I believe we have a real opportunity to create something meaningful this year. Especially given the challenges in our community and community members continue to face. And finally, congratulations to Commissioner Lucia on her engagement. Thank you. All right, we've got to get back to business, although we want to celebrate you. The next order of business is consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered routine and will be acted upon in one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless members of the Arts Commission, staff, or the public request specific items to be discussed and or removed from the consent calendar for discussion. Tonight, we have one item, approval of minutes from June 5th, 2025, the Arts Commission meeting. Ms. Fatua, has the item been pulled for discussion?
No. No.
No. Okay, I will make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Okay. Thanks. My little panel isn't working. Okay. Okay.
You may vote on your dais. Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, next order of business is a monthly report from our wonderful art specialist, Ms. Gardner.
Thank you, Chair Ochoa, and good evening to the Costa Mesa Arts Commission. This is my Arts Specialist Report for August 2025. Just briefly, I wanted to mention that I was able to attend the Americans for the Arts Conference in Cincinnati, Ohio this year from June 10th through the 14th, and I had never been to Ohio or Cincinnati, so it was amazing to kind of see all the things that they had there, and so I just kind of put some data on here. I won't spend too much time on this because I could probably talk forever on all the stuff that's going on there. But I just put a couple of large cultural assets that they have there, the Arnoff Center, a performing arts center, the music hall, some art museums. They have a robust nonprofit art scenes with arts organizations, Arts Wave and Artworks. And so it was just really nice to have sessions in the morning there for the conference, and in the afternoons we went on kind of, they called them art ventures, which is fun because Art Venture, Costa Mesa. But we went to different places all around the city, like arts locations. And so we got to see a lot of Cincinnati that way. And so it was really, really great. But for a city of its size, I thought they were doing really well with their cultural assets and kind of their art organizations. And a fun fact I put there that kind of connects them to Costa Mesa is they used the same architect for their Arnoff Center of the Performing Arts as we architect for the Renee and Henry Segerstrom Concert Hall and Samueli Theater. So I thought that was a kind of fun connect. And then let's see, my next slide, just a couple pictures. They do have a really robust mural program, 400 murals throughout the city. And that's mostly facilitated by a group called Artworks, and they work with teens and artists and do kind of summer programs, and they put murals all over town. So I thought that was really cool and significant. Yeah, and I loved the quote, "Our city's limits are carved in hearts, not stone." I thought that was really cute. But yeah, they're really proud of their murals and the work they do with teens with that. But I thought that was a significant piece of their kind of landscape. And then they have, great museums and sculptures and all kinds of stuff going on. So just a little bit about Cincinnati, and I learned a ton. I got to meet a bunch of people, arts administrators who worked, for different cities and places. Someone from Columbia, South Carolina, someone from, my friend from Denver and Boise, Idaho. So it was great to kind of talk to people about what they're doing in the arts in their areas. So, yeah. Oh, so for Art Venture, a little update on Art Venture. We have a total of 133 adult artist applications and 27 youth applications. So our wonderful jury panel met yesterday and selected artwork for the exhibition and for all the awards. And so currently the schedule for Art Venture's Community Arts Day is on the website, and as all the details for the exhibition schedule and the award ceremony. And the link to register for the award ceremony will open up probably next week. And it is a free event, but there is registration required to kind of see how many people would like to come. And then the website, I'm sure most of you know, but it's pretty easy. It's, if you want to tell people, it's just artventurecm, as in costamesa.com. So all that information's there. And I will definitely be sending out an email with more details about how the Arts Commission can assist and participate in all these events in the coming weeks. And also, please let me know if you'd like more print flyers for anything for Art Venture, and I'd be happy to have them printed and set at City Hall that you could come get if you want to promote and do some outreach on your own. Free park performances. So as I've mentioned before, I kind of try to put our free park performances into some of the events we're doing. So I just kind of wanted to list and acknowledge the groups that we'll be working with for different events coming up in the coming months. For Art Venture Community Arts Day, we have, that's September 13th, 2025. But we have Side Note Keys, Amori Mar, the Oddbirds, and we will also be having Poetry Oki, which is poetry recital with our poet laureate Danielle Hansen. So that'll be on the indoor stage at Art Venture. And then on the outdoor stage, we'll have the Vanguard University Jazz Ensemble, Red Boy Productions, which is a Native American dance group, Kimberly Stewart, who does children's music, which should be really fun, and then Backhouse Dance to do a dance performance at the end. So we're excited to see all these new performers, and that'll be on the outdoor stage at the Lions Park event lawn. And then for the ceremony, we are lucky to have some assistance from our very own Commissioner Wondercheck. She's going to help us produce a couple of music performances with Arts and Learning Conservatory at the award ceremony at the Orange County Museum of Art on the 20th of September. And then also for Hispanic Heritage Month celebration, we have 2 performers for that. That's a city manager's event, but I work with them to have performers be there as well. So we'll be doing a group that we used last year that was really great, Sitar Son, and they're a Cuban Latin band. And then Folklore Mexicano, which is the ballet folklorical dance group, which will be there as well. So that should be a really great event as well. And then lastly, we will also have kind of a Backhouse Dance surprise performance at Scarecrow Fest. So more on that. It should be fun. So that's all I'll say. The Poet Laureate program. So we have a couple things coming up with Danielle Hansen, our Poet Laureate for Costa Mesa. We have a poetry workshop coming up on August 16th at the Mesa Verde Library from 11 to 1 p.m. And this is targeting adults and teen age groups. Kids are allowed. Danielle said that's fine. It just might be a little boring for children. So. And then we also have the Poetry in the Parks project with Danielle that we are planning to launch on August 25th. I talked a little bit about it at our last meeting, but I've been working with Matt Vito, our multimedia specialist, on promoting this new program. So we're kind of thinking of hosting a raffle for people who participate. So if you go to all 5 parks and you use the QR code and you do the activity and you fill out a little survey on the webpage, it'll kind of automatically put you in a raffle, and we'll be giving out prizes for that. So we're hoping to kind of do that for like a couple months and see how that goes and see if the people are receptive to it. So we'll have just different prizes, maybe like city swag and free tickets as part of our Free at Segerstrom program. So a little bit more on that, but I will definitely keep you on the loop when it's up and it's running, and maybe you all can test it out for me at the 5 parks. Should be fun. And let's see, lastly, we have our popular utility box art program. I just wanted to show pictures of all the ones that were completed this year. So we have 12 that were completed, and we had 6 removals from boxes that just had older vinyl wraps that weren't looking as great anymore. So yeah, I have 6 artists here on this first slide, and then the other 6 here on this one. So we also have that map online too, so if anyone asks about it, they can kind of find them themselves around the city. And I think that's a wrap up for me. So that is my August report. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Gardner. Does anyone on the commission have questions?
I just have a comment. Ms. Gardner, I have to tell you, we go through the utility box program and selection, and then one day you're driving down the street and you say, wait, that's a new box. And it finally comes full circle. And it's been really nice to see the new boxes appear. So good job.
Hi, yes. I just wanted to say thank you, Lorette, and having you, and I know you have other staff working with you, fielding calls and everything for the just basic inclusion for the Arts Commission, the art grants, and I just wanted to reiterate to people who might not understand that your position, in my opinion, being a paid position, is a must for getting anything done with the Arts Commission. I mean, every nonprofit I know has a payrolled employee, every single one, and you have to have that in order to keep things going. And if artists were in charge of this, chaos would ensue. It would not be good. And this is just my opinion, but I strongly, strongly suggest people understand that it's necessary to have somebody in charge and organizing all of these things. And also, besides the great ideas you come up with your staff and everything, and you, I just think you've done a great job. Thank you.
Lorette, I did have one question for Cincinnati. How many Lorettes do they have for their department?
The city itself didn't have any arts workers. So that's what I thought was really interesting, was that I talked to some of the nonprofits. They had really robust nonprofit arts groups. So they had, I think ArtsWave was a sponsor for the conference, and they were an arts organization that was originally created by the Taft family from President Taft, and so it's kind of moved into this rebranding into ArtsWave, but they give a lot of money from that organization to organizations in Cincinnati. And then I think the city owns a couple of venues, so they own, I'm pretty sure the city owns the music hall, which is the historic music hall that hosts all the symphony and the ballet, and they give money sometimes to certain things, but from what I understood, they don't have like a specific arts department. So I just thought the model was different, and I asked questions about that and different opinions about, if that was good or bad, but it's just a model. And I really think that because there's so much activity in the community and, with organizations and museums and things that were private, that's kind of what they did too, yeah.
Okay, thank you. I can open this up to public comment. Members in the public and the chambers can have a time to speak. Please line up on either side of the aisle. And Angeli, you may begin.
Hi, good evening, Commission. My name is Angeli Andrade Vallarta. I am a Planning Commissioner for District 4. And I have I think it's hopefully a unique and wonderful collaborative opportunity that I'd like to present to you all. As you may know, the city is embarking on a wonderful project that is really going to define the future of Costa Mesa, the Fairview Development Center. And as you heard, this project not only is going to bring mixed use or our multi-income and variety of housing that is much needed for our community, but in addition to that, bringing some equity in green space for the west side of Costa Mesa, which has been for many, many years, and even decades, I believe, preceding my time, has been underinvested in green space. So excited for that. But in addition to that, there's going to be opportunities for retail and also community centers that are accessible to the children, the families that hopefully will be living there. And my ask is, I would really love to have an opportunity to have creative spaces. You know, we talk about fields for our students. You know, my hope is that we can squeeze in a pool in there somewhere. But I would love to see arts infuse into that. We are the city of the arts. We have a wonderful commission and a great report to hear today. How can we incorporate arts, any type? Is it music? Teaching kids how to, you know, we have a great nonprofit well represented here with Arts and Learning Conservatory, bringing in, teaching children on the west side about accessible to them, how to play instruments, about music, arts, painting, drawing, sketching, whatever it is. But whatever community center that the city develops there, it would be great to have some creative space for the children there, aligned with the arts. So maybe this is an invitation for you all maybe to reach out. I would love to bring forward any ideas or concepts that you would envision. You are our creatives in the city, or maybe it's an opportunity to collaborate directly with, and I'll defer to city staff, what would be the best way to bring forward the Arts Commission's concepts and ideas for the future of the community center in the Fairview Development Project. Thank you. And we have one more.
Hello, commissioners. My name is Ela, and I'm only 9 years old, and I go to College Park, and I'm going to 4th grade. And I love art. I love to draw, sing, and paint. I love seeing art in the public, and I try my best to go to every art event. I love to see art at IKEA, and thanks for showing kids like me how to use their talent. I hope to see that continue. Thank you.
Thank you.
We should just close the meeting right now. That was great. So I don't know how you guys do it here. Do you wait until the agenda item to speak on specific agenda items? Okay, so I'll hang out then. All right.
Thank you. Anyone else in the chamber care to speak? Okay. Anyone on Zoom, Ms. Fatua?
Not at this time.
Okay, public comment is now closed. Let's see, comments from the commission. Okay, next order of business is old business, the Arts Grant Program Review of Guidelines.
Thank you, Chair Ochoa. So this is an agenda item we're bringing back, the Arts Grant Program Review of Guidelines. There were requests at the last meeting to add some language about discounts for parks and community service facilities and for arts grantees. Once they're awarded an arts award, that we would give a discount to them to do their project in Costa Mesa. So I just added in a quick little blurb there in the guidelines, and I'm happy to open this back up for discussion if anyone has any comments or suggestions. Thank you.
Any commissioner questions or comments?
Yes.
Commissioner Mann.
Sorry. I absolutely love that you put that in there, and I think that it's so great to offer that kind of a discount for an approved grants program. I think that makes what we're doing here more giving, I guess, or more, keeps people on their arts toes. And I don't know how to put it, but anyways, I really loved what you put in there, and I thought that was great. I was going back over I hate doing this. I was going back over. Are we just talking about that one section right now?
I believe this is commission questions. Is that correct, Ms. Fatua?
Yes.
So I can mention something else?
You'll have a moment to do that in a bit.
In a bit. Okay, not now. Okay, good. Then it looks awesome. Thank you. It's wonderful.
Commissioner Lucia? Okay. Now we're open to the public. No comments about grants. Okay, anyone on Zoom?
No.
Okay. Public comment is now closed. Comments from the commission is open. Commissioner Mann.
Yes, hi. So I was going back through the culture master plan, and there's just a couple things that I noticed that I had missed before, and I wanted to just see what you guys thought. So in the very first part of the overview, is, you know, the City of Costa Mesa Arts and Culture Master Plan established in 2021.
I'm sorry, Commissioner. That's really loud. Commissioner Mann.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. Is this regarding the grants, arts grants? We'll have a moment to talk about the master plan in a bit.
No, it's not about the architect.
Okay. I really want to hear what you have to say, but there'll be a time for that.
Give me a little thing,
That's-
and I'm ready.
Okay. Commissioner Lucia, thank you.
I'll just echo Commissioner Mann's earlier comments, commending and thanking staff. I think that we were looking to be able to provide that opportunity for grantees to utilize city facilities at, you know, a discounted rate, and I think this is a really great solution.
Anyone else?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I wanted to ask, I said, in light of the fact that our grants have been reduced from 20,000, which were so wonderful and served far more artists at a higher level, I think that at least for now, having this waiver or discount is important. But I would just want to go on record of saying that if we continue down this path of allocating grants, that we try to increase the amount, because we will not be able to serve as many as we would like to. But I do have a question for staff. If the application opens in January, can you tell me when you plan on releasing some kind of marketing so that we can be sure to talk to the public and get that out there for the grants?
Thank you, Commissioner Ashendorf. Yes, I would say as soon as Art Venture is over, I am all about it. So I would say probably October, kind of the fall season, I'll start kind of putting a flyer together and have it, you know, promoted. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think I found my arts grant section. Okay.
Commissioner Mann, go for it.
So with there being some red tape issues in the grants, like you have to be a nonprofit, and I know we field, you know, some of these people to like the Give Some Foundation or other organizations who have the opportunity to take somebody who doesn't have a nonprofit status and what do you call it, just like provide that for them. But I'm wondering, you know, if the Give Some Foundation decides that they don't like that art, you know, and they go, oh no, you know, we don't want to do that, is that just going to be something that we're never going to see then? And I know this is a weird question, but it's kind of like it gives organizations like that an opportunity to pick and choose. Obviously, I mean, they're using their, you know, nonprofit status for that, but to pick and choose, you know, what they feel maybe is appropriate, or, you know, art that they like, as opposed to all art. The other thing is, besides having monetary support, which I guess we've lost some of it, for mostly Costa Mesa residents, and I know we've gone outside the city a little in offering or having some people get grants for money that don't necessarily live here, but we talked about the idea of the discount, you know, that you have put that in there, and that is so great. I was wondering if we can come up with any other ideas that aren't necessarily monetarily based, but maybe they have that same impact as Commissioner Ashendorf was saying. you know, that would have a big impact, and maybe we can look at other avenues for getting, you know, things like that there, or have some idea session. What do you call it, a subcommittee? Okay, that's it.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Mann. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Just to reiterate, what's already been said, thank you so much to Director Gruner and to Ms. Lorette and the rest of the Parks and Community Services Department for working on figuring out that discount. I think it's a wonderful inclusion. And even the, I think up to, was it 4 days can be used. I thought that was fantastic and really encouraging just to see that that's the direction in which we're taking. You know, I will, just for, I guess, the sake of the minutes, register my sentiment, which remains the same as it has in previous meetings. I wish we would give more precedence or a higher kind of ranking and priority for actual art being done, because this is very much so kind of art education and general programming heavy, rather than actually trying to support new art. But again, you know, I think that's a conversation that will be picked up in our next agenda item and looking at the master plan going forward. And we really are limited with a $12,500 budget for grants. That said, Commissioner Mann's point, I thought, is actually very good. And the first thing that strikes me is the possibility that we might offer through city marketing channels, perhaps promotion of the events that are associated with the grants that we give out. I don't think that's anything that needs to be added to necessarily the guidelines, but perhaps that's something that could be offered. With all that said, I am happy to approve of the guidelines as they stand. I don't know if there's much more we can do, given, you know, our various months of discussion. And so if that's acceptable, I move to approve the art grants guideline as written to be used for the 2025 to 2026 grant cycle.
I'll second the motion.
You may.
Oh, whoops, sorry.
Oh.
There we are.
I'm sorry, I didn't get to speak on that last item. I would like to add that I agree with Commissioner Ashendorf. I think there's a way that perhaps that we can increase the grant funding. I know we made a formal recommendation, and I know that's something that we have consensus on. Perhaps staff can kind of guide us through reallocating some funds to shore up the difference from last year. That's all.
To clarify, is that a friendly amendment, or is it just
I think we're gonna just approve and
Okay,
make a motion
just
to
making
approve
sure.
and file. I just had a question about the grant funding.
Okay.
I should say my motion was to approve it for the grant cycle itself.
You may vote on the dais. Let me try it again. Motion carries 7-0 to approve staff recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Next order of business is new business, the scope of work for the Arts and Culture Master Plan update. And we'll have a presentation from Ms. Gardner. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Ochoa. I just have a few brief comments just about some of the documents that we added to kind of discuss the topic. So we provided the draft of what a scope of work might look like for an arts and culture update. I've also included 2 examples that I thought might be helpful as we have this discussion together. So I also just want to say every community is very different. So it's important to remember kind of what things make Costa Mesa unique. But the examples I included, the first example from Asbury Park in New Jersey, I know that's not California, but I really liked what they did because it was specific to an update. So they had a previous arts and culture master plan, and they made some changes, and I liked kind of their emphasis on current and local assets, and and that it was a focus on economic growth too, which I thought was really interesting too. And those are things I kind of hear in our meetings, and I try to look for things that I think might match up with what you all are voicing as well. And then the second example is more specifically a public art master plan from the city of Redmond in Washington. I liked this one because they discuss public art as woven into the community with an emphasis on quality of life in everything and how art can inform that. And I think that matches really well with city council priorities and the quality of life aspect. So those are the reasons I chose those examples. There's many out there. These ones caught my eyes. I liked the language. I thought it was, really saying a lot of things that I've been hearing. So yeah, that's the reason for those examples. And then I'm happy to open it up to all of you so we can discuss and kind of look at this, this draft for this update. Thank you.
Okay, questions for the commission, from the commission? Any questions? No? Okay, if there are no questions, I will open for public comment. In person, members of the public in the chambers it's your time to speak. Please line up on either side, and you have 3 minutes.
Chair Ochoa, if I may, I just need to also say correspondence was received for this item and available on the city website.
Thank you.
First
Councilmember.
thing, it's nice to be in here when it's nice and quiet and cool, and nobody yelling and screaming. First things first, I'm here as a resident of Costa Mesa and longtime resident of Costa Mesa. And what I'm going to talk about tonight are my feelings and doesn't reflect anything coming from my peers on city council. So I want to make that clear ahead of time. And thank you, Chair Ochoa, Commission Chair Ochoa, Vice Chair Derderian, and Director Gruner, and commissioners. First of all, thank you for what you guys do here. I mean, it's your accomplishments and your efforts are significant. And I wanted to say that in person to you guys because I'd like to do this more. And I could have done it over Zoom, but I want you to hear that from me personally. I think what you're doing is commendable, and this is my favorite commission. So your guys' voice and what you guys come up with on this council is going to reflect the direction of this city in terms of art, culture, and it's really important. And commissions, city councils, committees reflect the will of the voter. That's something I have to say to myself in my other role. It's something that I go on and that I have to keep in mind all the time. You guys represent the will of the voter. I had some time to look through your documents, and this is go time, you guys. This is it. And in terms of the objectives, one thing caught my eye was identify the updated goals, measurable outcomes, actionable strategies for the next 5 to 10 years, and specifically under plan, refinement, and strategic visioning, reassess and revise the city's arts vision and mission statement if needed. That's a big deal. That's 5 to 10 year outlook for the city. And we have a 250-year anniversary coming up for this country, and it's time to be bold, and it's time to really use. I know it's a limited budget. I know that there's a lot of things that you guys could do with very little, but work on it. Put forward what your guys' vision is. You guys come up with a plan. It's your game, and I encourage you guys to really do your diligence and research. And focus on public-facing art. That's one thing as a resident that I would really hope to see out of the city. Visit the boxes. I saw the pictures of the boxes. That's great. I saw some examples in Cincinnati. Those things are great. I hear from the residents all the time that they want to see more art that can be public-facing and visible. And we are the city of the arts, and I encourage you guys to really put your shoulder to the wheel, and this is your time to really impact the future. And a lot of changes can be made, and your recommendations and your efforts and what you guys come up with will be heard. And I want you to know that we're listening, and let's get the artistic flair of the city going. And I appreciate your time. I think it's going to cut me off, but. Thank you guys for everything you do, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilmember. Anyone else in the chambers wish to speak? Ms. Fatua, is there anyone on Zoom?
No members at this time.
Thank you. Okay, public comment is now closed, and comments from the commission. Commissioner Mann.
Right time? Okay, okay. Yes, I was looking through this and the scope of work and all the things that were written and our general cultural master plan, I think looks amazing, especially from where we started. It's just evolved and it's like that living, breathing thing that's, it's getting better and better. And I hate to nitpick. One of the things I was looking at was in our very first sentence in our overview, it says in Arts Culture Master Plan, it says commits or recommits as opposed to commits. And I was just wondering if that was I just feel like we are committing. I don't know if it's I know there was probably a committing at some point and then everyone recommitted, but I know it's just a stupid verbiage word. But to me, committing is like wholeheartedly, like we're all in right now and this is it, as opposed to looking back in the past and then coming forward. But it's just a verbiage word. The other thing is, I don't know how this is going to go over. Also, the language, equity, diversity, and inclusion is stated many times throughout. And I was just wondering if that needs to be stated because to me, all art is inclusive. It doesn't, and I know that's just me, but growing up in a artistic family and in a theater and everything, art was all about everything. So it just seemed to me like when I hear equity, diversity, and inclusion, it implies someone is being excluded. When with art, that for me, it doesn't feel that way. I'm just going to say that and leave that alone. Are we on the goats yet or not? With Jenny, the goats?
So she just submitted correspondence. She didn't speak on that. If you have comments, you're welcome to.
Well, I just wanted to say that I thought it was a great suggestion, and I feel like that's something that is historically relevant in our city because we have Go Hill Junction, and we have that huge train area over by Fairview. I could just see a bunch of artistic goats all over the place over there, and I could see them also in other places, like at the fair and all these new places. And I don't think we'd be a weird animal art foundation. I think that it would just be, very cool and inclusive of Costa Mesa and kind of where we come from. Sorry for being all over the place. I'll stop right there.
No, I think thank you, Commissioner Mann. Other commissioners? Commissioner Ford.
Yes, I really like the scope and everything that's in there. It's just kind of two things in particular that I hope that we can emphasize. One is that I agree with Councilmember Pettis and with Vice Chair Dadarian that public-facing art, the more murals and sculptures and things like that we can have, the better. And in particular, there are two aspects that I think would be beneficial. One is the unique history of Costa Mesa, going through the various timelines and talking about the development of the city. And then secondly is the unique character of each of the districts, for lack of a better phrase. Costa Mesa, yes, it's one city, but I live in District 2 right by South Coast Plaza and the Segerstrom Center, and that's very different than living in District 4, which is very different than living in East Side, which is very different than living West Side. So all of those different areas have history, culture, character that I think the art should reflect each of the interesting and unique aspects of all of those different areas. Because I think one of the really cool things about Costa Mesa is that diversity that we have. I mean, it's a very eclectic city with a lot of different people from different backgrounds and different everything. And the more we can celebrate that through art, the better, I think. So with that, I hope that we can, as we go through this project, keep the history of Costa Mesa and the unique character of each of the areas of our great city in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ford. Any other commissioners? Commissioner Ashendorf?
Thank you, Chair. One of the things that I found of value Ms. Garner was through the Ashbury Park, specifically their potential sources for funding. When we look at our current budget that we work with, it has been able to get us this far, but it's not that creative. And I think this is the time we're going to have to stretch our imagination. And I don't know if staff is able to do this or how we're able to examine some of these creative sources. But if we want to do what we hope to achieve here, we're going to have to really muscle up with some funding ideas. And I don't know if these are only relevant to that particular city and area, but they do give us some direction and some guidance of opportunities of where we should be thinking and forward looking for finances.
Thank you, Commissioner Ashendorf. Commissioner Lucia.
Thank you. One additional item I'd love to see incorporated into the scope of work, and I felt like it was the central theme in the City of Ashbury's Arts and Culture Master Plan that you linked. They really talked about the economic development impact of art. So as we heard from the Planning Commissioner from District 4 talking about the Fairview Development Plan, are there ways that we can position that as a central theme for our new Reimagine Arts and Culture Master Plan?
I mean, I would say yes. At this point, we're kind of just exploring all kind of ideas and options, but absolutely. And I think that's something that I hear a lot, and that's kind of why I chose some of the examples. I thought that that's something that people in Costa Mesa are interested in. And so absolutely, I mean, something we can discuss together. Yeah.
Thank you. Commissioner Wonderchuk?
I don't know if this is the time for me to ask it, but within our master plan, it obviously gives us a little certain ways of creating more art in the community. We're talking about finances. We don't really have that. I know we've got our wonderful utility box program, but is there a way for us to do artified crosswalks or something, especially in front of schools? My heart is always for the children, especially with running my own nonprofit. But that's a quick way, I would think, to get more artists involved in the city, to get art out now, even if it would be seen as kind of temporary, but at least it's there and our kids are seeing it and getting excited about art as well. But that's just a little thought that I had for art, public art.
Thank you, Commissioner Wonderchuk. Vice Chair.
Great. Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Ms. Lorette, for putting this together and presenting it. As you might imagine, I have a lot of thoughts, and I'm trying to figure out how, in depth I would like to go on some of this. But I think there's a couple more general points, and I appreciate this and really taking the time to assess the past or the previous master plan and looking forward and going off of what Councilmember Pettis has said. And even, I said this to the council. I was perhaps a little bold in my challenge to them, I'll admit, and saying, well, we've heard comments in this chamber about how artists that live within the community but work elsewhere kind of get laughed at for, Costa Mesa being the city of the arts. But I really do want us to lean into this and figure out what exactly that means, and engaging council on that, of course, and whichever members would like to participate, as well as the community. But of course, as a body, also trying to really kind of identify and define what is the city of the arts and what is that vision kind of in the long term, as Councilman Pettis pointed out. This says 5 to 10 years, and that's quite a large vision. And so I just want to ensure, I think on the larger scale, the way in which this is approached is not, a lot of little data taken here and there, and then kind of amalgamating a larger plan, as was done with the master plan before. And I think that was a wonderful first step, and certainly the most important step to take, because it's led to so many good developments, like the hiring of Ms. Garner and the creation of this body and all the various programs that have really been, I think, codified in a great way. But what I'd love to see is kind of a larger vision that, we can help develop, we can engage the community in developing, of course, but kind of pointing towards where we're wanting to go, and then trying to ask the question, well, what are the necessary steps to get there? And how does that look like with the 5-year plan? And kind of setting ourselves up then for success for, say, another update in 5 years to kind of go through this process once again. And so that's, one of the things I'd really love to kind of inject more into this conversation and really trying to say, okay, this is great. We've done a lot of good things, and obviously the programming have been a great boon, I think, to the city. But as was mentioned already, we're very limited on budget. The actual number that we're kind of toying with or playing with in some general sense is about $250-something thousand, which represents 0.11% of our overall city budget, which is fine enough. I'm not asking for millions. It'd be great if the city council wanted to approve that, but that's another story, right? But just trying to say, okay, well, we have, maybe 250,000. Maybe we can really push and get 500, or if we can figure out, other funding sources, maybe more. But what's the most marginal benefit to the community, and how do we actually pursue making Costa Mesa, a more artful city? And I think I'd like to say, more beautiful city. I really see the commission as a kind of aesthetic review body for the city, and creating its image and identity of what it means to be the city of the arts. So that's my larger kind of thing, where I'm just looking at it and thinking, if I had my way, what would this plan look like? How would I order this? And I think there's a lot of ideas that I'd like to throw out in that sense. And perhaps this was discussed between the chair and I, but if it would be of interest to the commission as well, we might try to do a study session of some sort at the next scheduled meeting to give the commissioners an opportunity to actually think through proposals and ideas. Because I think this is the difficulty, is we've talked about subcommittees as a way for us to kind of step aside and say, okay, what can we really do? But the reality, and what was affirmed in that study session meeting back in July, was that we have to legislate here. We have to come up and make decisions here and really talk about it in front of the public, because we are a public body, an official body at that. And so I think it would be wonderful to give us all a chance in a month to kind of go back and sift through and sit on some ideas and really think, what would it look like for Costa Mesa to be the city of the arts? How would we actually advance a serious vision? And what are some real proposals we might consider? Now, Ms. Gardner, maybe some other staff might weigh in if that's kind of relevant necessarily to this discussion around the scope of work itself, or if that would be just a set-aside kind of study session or something in which we can engage in. But that's one thought I wanted to pull out there. I think, again, I'm trying to decide how far do I want to go in. One of the things I would like to see within this plan, I think at large, is, as has already been mentioned, and as I mentioned many times, is a greater emphasis on public art and expanding public art. That item number 2, I think Ms. Tanaka here in her comment also raises that. It doesn't really seem like we've made too much advancement on it. We've done things in that space, but there hasn't been much advancement. We were already kind of doing the utility boxes early on. And really, that master plan, when you look at it, it's just taking already existing programs and saying, this is a priority for the city to continue doing, which is good, but we also want to actually advance and expand public art. And so I wonder, as one of these things that we're looking at when we're doing the assessment and then the deliverables, if there might be an assessment of sites or possible locations for public art installations within the city. I think that would be something that's really interesting. I would also like to see a greater emphasis, I think Commissioner Lucia mentioned this, a greater emphasis on the creative economy. And again, that was one of the objectives that were mentioned. But I think there would be a lot of thoughtful, interesting ways to actually incentivize artists, art organizations, and even cultural, for-profit businesses or creative for-profit businesses that wouldn't require additional funds, but would be creative interventions in which we as a commission can make recommendations to council. Things like I've kind of been looking and toying with this, like a creative overlay zone. So maybe we might identify a certain corridor, a region within town, a district where there's a lot of empty space that we could say, given the council's abilities for rezoning within certain areas and this sort of thing, we can approve them or give them tax incentives or something of that sort to encourage businesses to offer underutilized spaces, right, to artists or gallery spaces or something of this sort. I think that's a very easy thing, but really just trying to look at and say, what's possible within the creative economy and what can actually be achieved in a way that is cost efficient, so we're not spending more money, but we're really unleashing the local art scene and encouraging and supporting them and coming up with meaningful ways to advance that. Let me just check my notes again. I'm not going to go too far in depth. I'll spare you all a lot of those.
Yeah, because, we're talking about the scope of work.
Yeah. But this is all about the scope of work. Everything I've said is about the scope of work. Looking at the creative economy, doing these sorts of things, I think we ought to include, and specifically, if we want to, I can look at the language itself and point that out. And then I think, with the question around staffing needs and workload analysis, just to give something specific, what I'd like to see is maybe even a push for, again, if we have this vision, saying what's the staffing necessary, rather than saying, okay, well, here's kind of incremental advances we can make to at least expand a little bit. Because again, I'm just hesitant, or I'm cautious about the fact that we're going to say, okay, well, here's a lot of really good ideas. Now let's create small steps to kind of move us forward. Whereas we can say, well, here's a really good vision, and here are the various steps we can take to get towards and closer to that vision. So, like you can see, I have a lot more thoughts, but I'll just stop there and let the chair speak, as well as other commissioners weigh in on various things I've said. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair. I think we'll have plenty of opportunities to really dig into the meat and bones of the master plan. I think it seems like we're all in agreement that the existing master plan is a great foundational start, and we can build on that.
Can I add one thing?
Sorry, you have another comment?
Yeah, just real quick. I come from a starving artist background. My parents were starving artists. Most artists just want to do work. Yes, it's awesome to be paid for it. It's awesome to make money. But most people want their work done. They want it out there. They're paying for their own stuff to go into places. There are so many opportunities in this city for, like you said, big sculpture, big things, huge things. Wonder Chuck and I have, when we were going to volleyball in Hermosa, there is this great boulevard, Hernando Boulevard, and it is just like you can see all these different people from the community came in and made a mile of, everyone got like a square, and they drew or painted, and it's just so representative of that area. And you can't ignore it. It's right there. But I think there's a lot of places in this, city for every medium, and especially when we get into the schools, and I know you talked about the educational schools. Those are really the budding artists of our community. And, you give them like what they used to be, a little Super 8. I don't know what it is now, their cell phone. And they make little movies and they do little things. And you can almost put them up and do anything anywhere. Art can cost money, but I mean, honestly, it really doesn't need to. We can make it on whatever budget we have, or we can make it as big as we want it. So I just want to put that out there.
Thank you, Commissioner Mann. I think this is a great document and scope of work. Thank you, Lorette, for all your efforts here and for including those other examples. I was especially drawn to the pedestrian experience of the city of Redmond, which I think echoes some of Commissioner Wonderchuk's comments. It's a pretty easy, relatively low-cost way to get art out into the world immediately for our pedestrians and cyclists to enjoy. I also really appreciate City of Redmond's efforts to have more interdepartmental collaboration. And I know there was an invitation here from one planning commissioner, and I'm curious to see how we can foster that a little more moving forward. And perhaps maybe in Section D, the plan refinement and strategic visioning, that could be maybe Section 4 is interdepartmental communication, and that could help us achieve our shared goals in the city. And I think those are my only comments regarding this. I think a 5-year plan's realistic for our, and it's pretty standard, I think. I don't know if anyone feels differently or if there's a consensus regarding that. And Commissioner Mann, I don't have an issue with the diversity, equity, inclusion. I think it is repeated throughout the city, just as a general value, a common value. I have a different lived experience, and it's nice to know that we're welcome and we all have fair access to opportunities. That's it. Thank you, everyone, for your comments. Lorette, are there any questions at this moment?
No, I don't think so. So I'm taking notes. So my thought is, we're trying to build a scope of work, so something that we could direct someone to kind of implement, right, in the way that we want to get the data that we want to create a plan that we want. So I think all these comments are great, and I think we can kind of come up with what you think's going to work for the city and kind of like your wish list, but also being practical as to how much we think we can, that's going to be valuable to the community and put forth to council. So I guess I don't think we need to make, I guess I'll defer to Laura here.
It's preferred to make a motion to so for example, with the comments today, we can say motion for staff to receive the comments and come back with edits at the next meeting.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Pardon me. Hi, I'm Kim Barlow. I'm your city attorney. If we're not going to, if there isn't going to be an approval of a specific language, then I think it would be fine to just direct staff to take that input into account and bring back a revised scope of work for your future consideration.
Okay, thank you, City Attorney. Do we need to make a motion on that? No, just, okay. Receive and file. Yes.
Receive and file.
Okay, and Director Gruner, is this time for staff comments?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I do have just a couple updates to some of the comments from earlier. In regards to the OC Fair and us participating with the Orange County Fair, that's actually a state-run program, and they're pretty, selective in regards to how they, work with different agencies and organizations. So we can certainly give it a try and kind of see if there's something we can do for next year. But I just want to make that clarification that it is a state-operated a fair program over there, and the whole fairgrounds itself. So, and in regards to an Instagram and website updates, we can certainly do that. That's what we currently do for the Fairview Park Steering Committee. Where the whole master plan has its own website, and we can certainly create something like that as we develop this master plan here for the arts and culture program. And then I do want to let the commission know that we are working on trying to develop a ordinance where any type of projects or development programs here within the city, whether it's housing for residential or commercial type of development programs, that there will be some type of funding, whether that's a percentage allocated to arts or whether it's a set dollar amount. So we are working with the different departments from Public Works and Community Development Services. So we are trying to develop some type of ordinance that we can push forward and present to obviously the commission here as well as to council in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Gruner. Are there any additional comments by commission or staff? Commissioner Wonderchuk.
Okay. I was pushing yes, and you can't do that here. I'm like, what's wrong? My question, what was my question? This is terrible. I cannot believe I forgot my question. It was more of a comment. Oh, the comment. It wasn't a question. Okay, so the comment is this. Do we have a logo or anything? Because if we're creating like a Instagram, Facebook page, do we have a logo? I don't think we do we?
We have the City of the Arts logo.
Oh, I mean, just for the Arts Commission within the City of the Arts? No? Okay. Oh, I was looking for another artistic opportunity, but okay, thank you very much.
Can we make one?
That's what I
I
wanted.
think it would be great to have the branding of
So-
that.
It's in the master plan. I did see that we have our own logo, but I have a solution for it that won't cost us anything. Chapman University has a marketing program for students, and they take on certain entities for free because they're students learning how to do marketing, and they could create one for us if we wanted to put our name in for something like that, and I'd be happy to recommend us. But that is just a comment, and we can figure out what we'd like to do with that. But that's something that we can do if that's where we want to go with it.
Can I,
Commissioner Van.
in regards, thank you. I'm sorry to jump in on that without waiting. In regards to the schools and the school systems, I don't think most of the schools in our district know that there's an arts commission. They don't know that they have access to their teachers to put forth their own artwork through their teachers or parents or whoever, if they're underage, for any of the art venture or the art, stuff that we have. I don't think it would be I don't think there would be any expense to push and show and send to the, school district, hey, this is what we're doing. Like Lorette said, getting some of those flyers, printables, and getting them to the schools. I think, that would be very fundamental in helping spread the word, because the kids, man, they're on Instagram, they're going to be like, ooh, look at this, look at that, I'm going to art this, I'm going to art that, and whatever else they say. I know, I don't have the good language, I'm a mom. Okay.
Lorette, did you want to address that?
Yes, so we do go through schools because with, Parks and Recreation programs too, we do a lot of work with schools and getting stuff to schools. So and they're very strict in what they receive too. So we use Peach Jar, and it has to be free stuff, and it has to be, bilingual, and there's just different things. And then they also have a flyering thing, but there's like a process. You have to create kind of like envelopes for each school. So they definitely have stuff, but they are particular about how because they get, I know they get inundated with requests all the time. Everyone's doing kid programs and things. And so we do work with schools closely in the department as a whole, for sure, yeah.
I even visited a couple of schools and handed out flyers and spoke to students. If you would like to join in on those volunteer efforts, let me know. Any other comments? Down here.
No, Chair. I would just add, that doesn't preclude you from visiting the school board meetings every other week and speaking during public comment and sharing that we are a commission, we are the City of the Arts, and this is what they're doing, even though I know Lorette has done a good job of, we have Costa Mesa High School is always well represented at the Lions Park event, and Estancia is very good with their music department. So we have a relationship at that level, but school board would just love to hear from you. You have 3 minutes.
I'm going to give them that 3 minutes, and I also want you guys to know there's a ribbon cutting ceremony at Estancia for their new theater, and it's coming up September 9th, I think. And as many of us can go would be great, because, man, I've been watching them build that forever, and it's going to be done.
Chair.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to request an agendized item to discuss an America 250 celebration of some sort from Costa Mesa. I'm just aware, this is coming up, and it certainly is a big deal for our country that we can all participate in. And so I'd love for us, as the City of the Arts and as the Arts Commission leading, again, that effort around the arts, to start beginning to think what that might look like, and see if there's a way in which we as the Arts Commission and the Arts Department of one staffer under Parks and Community Services, of course, might participate in that celebration in some way or help the city and aid a larger celebration, if that would be something that we could do. Of course, I know we have to discuss that with staff members, and would be happy to connect further with staff members here as well about that. But I would like to ask to explore and see if there might be funding that we might find within our own budget, or even present something to council to ask them to consider supporting, just because it is, again, the 250th anniversary of our country. And I think we certainly should do something more than, even though it was a wonderful celebration this past July 4th, something bigger, even if from an artistic bent. So I'd like to request an agendized item on that. Thank you.
Any other commissioner comments? No? Okay, I have one quick one. The coastal corridor made a big impression on us last meeting, and my son and I attended Arts in a Park last month, and it was a lot of fun, and he wants to go back. So if you're interested in participating in a community mosaic and learn more about land stewardship, they have upcoming workshops, August 16th and September 20th, and an unveiling of the community art project on October 7th. So I hope to see you there. And yes.
Oh, just in regards to Vice Chair's agendizing that item, you know, one thing to consider is obviously the staff time it takes to create something like that. It sounds like a pretty large-scale program, but we can certainly discuss it, you know, maybe in agenda prep and kind of get a little bit more information in regards to what that vision looks like, and then we can kind of go from there.
Thank you, Director Gruner. Okay, no further comments. It will also be California's birthday next year. Okay, if there are no other comments, I will now adjourn the meeting to our next regularly scheduled meeting, September 4th, 2025 at 6 p.m. It is 7:20.